Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 5:30 News on KPAX, Montana's news leader.
Good evening, I'm Jill Valley.
And I'm Dennis Bragg. Some places western Montana enjoyed some fresh air today as yesterday's much-needed rain cleared out some of the wildfire smoke.
Breathe it in now, though, because we are headed for another smoky and hot and dry weather pattern heading into our weekend. Here's a live look over the Missoula Valley from our St. Patrick Hospital iCam. You can see some blue skies and evidently some bugs, and there's clouds, but it wasn't this clear for everyone. Air quality alerts remain in effect for some of the hardest hit places. Chief Meteorologist Aaron Yost joining us now with what we can expect this weekend. Aaron.
Yeah, those air quality alerts out for the Sealy Lake area and the Salmon, Idaho area. We can expect more haze to move back into the forecast. We've got a building ridge of high pressure, hence the nice weather today, but we're going to lose these winds that we saw today as well, which helped keep some of that smoke from settling into the valleys. Hamilton earlier, you can see the Bitterroot Mountains. This is our first Security Bank iCam. It's been a while since we've seen some of those beauties in the far distance. We will see them obscured once again here as this ridge builds in rather strong late this weekend into early next week. Along with that strengthening, we are going to see temperatures kind of skyrocket into the low and mid 90s perhaps. I've got an update coming up.
With the windy weather yesterday, the Rice Ridge Fire north of Sealy Lake saw some growth, 18,000 acres now, but they are up to a bit on the containment, 16%. Authorities issued an evacuation order yesterday along one of the Forest Service roads, 17507, which runs into North Cottonwood Canyon. A couple of cabins are affected. An evacuation warning was also issued for residents in the Cozy Corner Meadows area. The eastern boundary on that is on Woodworth Road and runs west Cottonwood Lakes Road and then through the Rich Ranch. There are about 15 homes in that new warning area. Residents on the east side of Highway 83 south of Rice Ridge Road, to and including Double Arrow, still remain under an evacuation warning. About 1,000 homes, almost 1,100 homes and buildings are threatened by the fire. The American Red Cross has a shelter on standby still at the Potomac Community Center if it's needed.
The Lola Peak fire has grown to just under 35,000 acres, and some mandatory evacuations in the Florence area were eased yesterday. Fire managers reporting to us that the weather yesterday really helped moderate fire activity because of the rain and the cooler weather, and this came after the previous night's run toward One Horse Creek Canyon. There were more than 600 homes who were threatened by that fire.
While most Missoula County residents evacuated from the Lola Peak fire are back home, authorities say the experiences the last week are a good opportunity for people to review what they learned and plan for future emergencies. And Missoula County's Emergency Management Director says even people who weren't evacuated should be using this fire to prepare.
Absolutely. We've been talking to the public for over a month about this fire, and unfortunately kind of the worst case scenario did play out where we ended up having to evacuate several people who may not have initially thought that they would be evacuated. So we encourage people to review for themselves what went well, what maybe could have been improved upon, and to really kind of determine where their expectations are, and in areas where they may have been surprised by something, figure out what surprised them and help them in their preparations for the future.
Some evacuees have complained about getting notices to leave, especially late Thursday night or even very early Friday morning when the fire flared up, believing they should have been given more advance warning. Some of that challenge and notification was that deputies were having to go door to door to hundreds of homes. Beck says that's exactly why the county wants people to sign up for the Smart 911 alert system.
Yeah, the emergency notifications really are the key to this. I mean, they're how we're going to communicate with the public when they are at risk. They're also how we're going to communicate with the public when their evacuation status may have changed, so that they don't need to sit and monitor Facebook all day long. They can wait for that personal phone call.
And we have a link to info on the Smart 911 system for Missoula County residents on our website.
Montana State Auditor Matt Rosendale is encouraging Montanans to keep track of all wildfire damage and work with their insurance agents to recover from losses. Rosendale says policyholders generally understand that if their property burns down or is damaged by fire, that their insurance company will pay. However, many policies also provide additional protection and coverage for damages and losses indirectly caused by wildfires, including smoke damage. And if property owners are subject to a mandatory civil evacuation order, many policies provide extra living expense coverage up to 2 weeks. But Rosendale says the most important thing here is documentation.
Before an event, folks need to make a checklist of personal property that they have. If it's being kept in a paper form, they need to make sure that they keep that in a fireproof container. It's much better to keep it in a digital backup on a cloud or on a thumb drive that they can take that with them very easily.
Montanans who experience losses from wildfire and have questions about their insurance policy or an issue with their insurance company can contact Rosendale's office. That number is 444-2040. The Granite County Sheriff's Office eased some of the evacuation orders near the Sapphire Complex burning near Rock Creek. The mandatory evacuation orders for the area from Hogback Homestead south to Stony Creek and the Upper Willow Creek area have been moved to pre-evacuation status. The Sapphire Complex fire, about 25 miles southeast of Missoula in the Rock Creek drainage, has burned over 38,000 acres.
There's the big news we're all watching this afternoon. Texas gearing up for what could be the most powerful storm to hit the U.S. in over a decade.
Wei Zhejiang is in Corpus Christi, Texas, where Hurricane Harvey could slam ashore within hours.
A violent surf is crashing into the Texas Gulf Coast as Hurricane Harvey whips closer to landfall. Forecasters expect it to bring at least 20 inches of rain, in some areas much more, enough to turn towns into islands for days.
Brace yourself, prepare for the worst, and be ready to try and get out of town as quick as you can.
Chris Rickers isn't leaving.
I decided to stay to protect my house.
Are you worried about your decision to stay?
A little bit. I'm mainly worried about my kids.
Governor Greg Abbott is pushing everyone to head inland.
You have the power and the ability right now to be able to avoid being stuck into a search and rescue situation if you make the decision to get out of harm's way before it is too late.
Meteorologists expect the storm to be a Category 3 hurricane as it makes land. That would mean winds topping 115 miles per hour.
7 coastal counties from here in Corpus Christi to Galveston Island have ordered mandatory evacuations. Officials say they cannot guarantee rescues for people who stay behind.
This retirement home loaded residents for the ride to Austin.
I would have preferred to hunker down at home, but my concerns are for the people of Corpus Christi and our city.
The National Weather Service says the winds could be life-threatening, but that the greatest threat is from potentially catastrophic flooding. Wei Zhejiang, CBS News, Corpus Christi, Texas.
The meteorologists watching this thing have just upgraded the storm to a Category 4. In the worst case scenario, forecasters say there are some locations where that storm hits that could be uninhabitable for weeks, if not months.
Back here in Montana this afternoon, Congressman Greg Gianforte is photographed and fingerprinted for his May assault charge for punching a reporter. But his mugshot is not going to be publicly available unless a judge rules otherwise. Gianforte pled guilty June 12th to that assault for punching Guardian reporter Ben Jacobs on the eve of the special election that Gianforte won. Yet in Gallatin County, mugshots are considered confidential criminal justice information. That means they can't be publicly released unless someone requests it, and that has to be approved by a state district judge. Any requester will have to show that the public's right to know outweighs Gianforte's privacy right. MTN News has submitted that request to get a copy of that mugshot for future use.
The Missoula man who was recently freed from prison after he was exonerated of a 15-year-old rape is back behind bars. 35-year-old Cody Marble arrested this week in South Dakota for a possible parole violation. Marble is on parole for a 2013 conviction for drug possession. Marble left the state this spring after he was accused of an assault in Conrad. Marble's father says when his son was exonerated of the rape conviction, he should have been released from all probation. But state corrections officials say a judge never dismissed that drug charge. Marble was freed from prison last year after Missoula County prosecutors dismissed his 2002 rape conviction. He was exonerated with the help of the Montana Innocence Project.
Salute the Badge is brought to you by Montana Railing, supporting the Main Street of Montana for 30 years.
It can be devastating for both the victims and the firefighters. However, a program in Missoula finding ways to help everyone move forward after such tragedies.
House fires are perhaps the most unsettling disasters families can face, with possessions and sometimes lives lost. Missoula firefighters are finding great success in helping put children's lives back together with their unique Fired Up for Kids campaign.
That a lot of the programs that we do as a fire department are kind of based on getting in and getting out really quickly, and we've done things where we give out jackets or we've given out little stuffed animals when we're at a fire scene, but a little bit more stick and stay. We wanted to do something that was more meaningful, not only for the kids but also for the crews.
Fired Up for Kids brings the firefighters and kids together for an afternoon of having lunch, a shopping trip to replace lost toys and clothes, and a time to tour the fire department and have some new adventures.
It's pretty spontaneous, and I think that the more we do this, the more we realize that you know, the autonomy of the crew and them to get to know the kids and then to make that decision. And one of the things that I think firefighters are great at is calling the audible. And so, you know, you don't really know who you're getting until you get them, and all these kids come from different shapes and sizes of families and situations and stress, and so it's nice to sit down with them at lunch and get to know them and then just kind of make some decisions on the fly. And I've been amazed at the crew's ability to make a decision based on what they learned about a kid in a half an hour at lunch. So.
And it's easy to tell from the smiles all around, the program is just as important for the fire crews as it is for the kids.
And I think it gives us that opportunity to go a little farther. You know, I think sometimes, you know, you go to a structure fire, a lot of damage is done, a lot of emotions are pretty at the surface, and then we leave, you know, and then it's over. And so we have that opportunity to have an excuse to reach back to them and let them know that we're here. You know, the public is our customer, and so this is another program that we came up with to just say thanks to folks.
Coming up, Aaron has the latest on the hot and smoky conditions expected for the weekend.
And a local cider company is giving bears one less reason to visit your backyard while helping you get some free cider out of the deal. We'll have the story coming up here on KPAX.